Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Growth Through Content show, a show where we interview content marketing experts and marketing leaders and ask them how they use content marketing as an accelerator for their business growth. I am Tanguy from StoryChief, and today we are joined by the former VP of the HubSpot Academy and co-creator of the Impound methodology alongside Brian Halligan and Dharmesh Shah. And now he is the VP of Content and Community at Drift, a conversational marketing and sales platform that helps businesses to convert their website visitors into paying customers through live chat and chatbots. The company has gotten over $100 million in funding since its foundation in 2015. Welcome to the show, Mark Kilens.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be with you all today.
Nice. Yeah, the summary, it sounds like it's straight from a Wikipedia page, but there is no Wikipedia page yet for you.
I actually don't want one of those, but let's keep it that way.
Okay, cool. So you've done a lot of cool things in your career so far, but for the people who do not know you or Drift, can you just explain what Drift is and what your role in the organization is?
Absolutely. So I'm one of the marketing leaders at Drift. Technical titles, VP of Content and Community. Drift, like you said, is a revenue acceleration platform. So we help businesses use both conversational marketing and sales to accelerate their pipeline creation, accelerate their revenue generation efforts, help retain even more customers, increase customer lifetime value. And the way that typically works is we help marketing teams use Drift to create more qualified leads and create a more personalized, dynamic buying experience, create these kind of curated experiences based off of who's coming to the website. Then we all help the sales team connect with these buyers and customers in a real-time, frictionless way through booking a meeting, live chat, email, video. We have a whole slew of capabilities using all of those different channels of communication. And at the end of the day, what we're trying to just help people do is make buying a bit more enjoyable. You know, help businesses change the way they market and sell to the way that people buy things today to match that. It's been a lot of fun creating a lot of content about that. Like you said, I was at HubSpot for about 8.5 years before that, doing a lot of things with content. The big focus was around HubSpot Academy. And we have something similar, just to give everyone a heads up. We'll talk more about it probably, Tanguy, but we have a Drift Insider. It's called experience. And think of it as a sales and marketing masterclass. If you know masterclass.com experience for sales and marketing folks. So we got free certifications. We got tons of classes, hundreds of classes. We've actually then rebranded all of our content. This kind of goes to the content strategy stuff we'll talk about underneath this Drift Insider brand to make it really easy and digestible for the whole community of people, our customers, our future customers, our partners, to experience all of our content, to connect with one another inside of Drift Insider. So I think I think you'll see more of that when it comes to content marketing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's quite a lot. Like there's a lot of stuff happening. What I really like about Drift is that the solution seems very marketing and sales oriented, but it helps to streamline the whole process of the buyer's journey, the customer journey. So yeah, that's really cool to see how in depth that tool helps to grow businesses. And as you mentioned, you were 8.5 years at HubSpot. So yeah, we have to talk about that obviously before we dive into Drift's content strategy. You started out at HubSpot as a user, not as an employee, right?
Yeah, I was a HubSpot customer, one of the first 1,000 businesses to use HubSpot. This was back during the Great Recession, 2008, 2009. I was at a small startup type business. You know, I think I was the 10th or 12th employee. We were trying to grow the business during a very hard time. So what did I do? I went to the internet, I went to Google and typed in how to generate more leads, and guess who popped up? HubSpot, the HubSpot blog, right? Which is famous now, right? It's got 6-7 million visits a month. And from there, I was like, wow, this thing, inbound marketing seems legit. Seems like there's a really big opportunity to rank on search. And this, 13 years ago, very different, of course, today. but you could rank pretty quickly for a pretty short tail type of keyword, like what we think of as like a pillar type of topic or a pillar type of keyword right now. And we did exactly that. We used HubSpot's marketing tools back then, and I saw major success. And they were coming out with like a lead generation, lead management type of set of capabilities. And we were actually one of the first customers to integrate with Salesforce, right? So all of this is very like common. It's like, oh yeah, of course you're going to do those things now. But back in 2008, 2009, that was uncommon. And we saw great success. And I was like, man, I got to join this rocket ship. I think this is going to be huge, this inbound marketing thing. And sure enough, with the help of a lot of people around the world and some luck, it's become pretty important.
Yeah, that's crazy, because when I look back at that period and when you say we could rank articles, short form articles pretty fast, now you have to write like 2,000 word or 2,050 word articles and really hope that you get up on the first page. So a lot of has changed in this decade. What was it like working at HubSpot and also actively growing the platform into what it is right now?
I mean, it was an incredible experience. I tell people I basically got 2 MBA degrees, right? Like one before HubSpot went public and one after. That was just an incredible experience for so many reasons. But I think the good lesson for me, as I grew from an individual contributor to a manager, to a director, to VP, was the fact that you really have to take ownership of your career. And it's very important for a content marketer to do that. In fact, we had a small get together with Jimmy Daly, formerly of Animals, now Superpath, just the other day before, you and I are talking now. And he was saying something similar where, content marketers, you got to take some risks. You can't just feel out the status quo forever. You have to take some risks, no matter if you're at an agency, if you're at an in-house environment. So, I took a risk and said, based off of my past experience as HubSpot customer, I think there's a big gap in customer education, in deep inbound marketing knowledge, in explaining these concepts in a more framework-based, repeatable way, a la the inbound marketing methodology. And I went on to set out and figure that kind of out as an experiment for a year and a half. It was initially called Content Camp. So it was literally called Content Camp. And then we changed it to HubSpot Academy, the branding, and kind of the rest is history to some degree. But it was taking that risk. And I think that's a good lesson for anyone, no matter if you're in content marketing or any role. If you believe in something and you can get a few other people to believe in it with you and they can help you in some ways, I don't think there's really any harm in taking that chance.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree. And when you say taking ownership over your career, I remember you saying in another podcast that, you starting the HubSpot Academy, which is huge now. And I think with everybody working from home, it has only increased in relevance. But you started the HubSpot Academy as a weekend project, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Nights and weekends.
Yeah. So it must be crazy to see something that was a passion project from you just grow through the status that it's in right now.
Yeah. I mean, if I do some deep reflection, it is pretty cool, right? It wasn't, of course, just me. I mean, I had the privilege of being part of a group of people that worked really hard, dedicated a lot of their life to making HubSpot Academy successful. Crystal Dolce, Sarah Bedrick, Rachel Goodman, Helen Perlman. There's Nick Sell, who's actually at Drift now. He's doing partner marketing stuff at Drift. I could keep naming people, but it's cool to think about how many people it's I guess impacting, which is great, which is the whole purpose of it. I'm all about impact, and as a content marketer, I think you should think about that too. It's why are you creating this piece of content? Who is it for? Always start with the who. Who are you creating a piece of content for? How is it going to help them? Is it going to provide some entertainment? Is it going to educate them? Is it going to inspire them? Is it going to do all three things? Which it easily could. But like typically, like there's got to be a deeper why than just those three things. It's got to be something around, look, I'm trying to ultimately like get someone to feel something, so they probably take either some type of action or make some type of decision. I mean, if you want to simplify it down. And I think as content marketers, we sometimes maybe lose that. And one thing that I think is really important when it comes to marketing, but especially content marketing, is talking to customers, talking to your future potential customers all the time. People think it's crazy when I say this, but I am joining as an active participant 5, if upwards of some weeks when it's crazy, end of month, end of quarter, 15 sales calls a week. And I'm literally listening and hearing back what people are saying in the words they use to describe their problems and how they think about their business and their solutions. And then it's like, great, how can we make our content, how can we make our messaging and positioning better? So yeah, if you don't spend time with the audience you are creating content for, you're just missing, number one, a big opportunity, but you're also probably doing your content somewhat of a disservice.
Yeah, I totally agree. And it's very interesting that you say that you sit in on sales calls, 5 to upwards 15 calls a week, which is crazy, a crazy amount, obviously. And I'm going a little bit further into the interview, just because there's this this binary opposition between sales and marketing from history perspective. Sales and marketing have been fighting always. They see it too fluffy, they see it too numbery, too long-term, short-term. What is your view on that, since we're getting on that topic?
Yeah, I mean, it's true. I mean, there's been this tension, infighting, I don't know. There's just been this like, kind of friction between sales and marketing team or teams in the past. I think it still kind of exists today. The good news is like Drift is actively trying to fix that, to solve that. We're not just trying to align the teams. We're trying to get them to act as one team. And like, what's the thing that brings the teams together? A conversation, right? If we can help, if we as marketers can help the sales team start conversations with people, and it's the sales team's then job and goal to have meaningful conversations, we're working together against a common goal. And a common goal, more specifically with the business, would be revenue and pipeline. I mean, if you ask a head of sales, CRO, or any marketer today that's thinking more on the performance side of marketing, they're going to say pipeline and revenue. So if we can agree that those are the goals, then we should work together on identifying our ICP, identifying the target accounts, understanding what's working, what's not working, doing the programmatic account-based engagement stuff that's so important today. Really making sure that we're creating the right content for the sales team. This is why I talk to sales so much, right? It's not just for external public consumption. The sales team is going to be using your content. We use a great we use a tool, set of capabilities called HubSpot, and that's allowing our sales team to understand here's where all of the content that you could probably or should be using lives. It's all corporate approved. And then we can track that. We can see how much the sales team's using it, who's consuming it when they send it out. It's really powerful. So I think content marketers just need to get closer to their sales teams overall. And we believe in a full lifecycle content marketing approach at Drift. So, we're my team, but Gail Axelrod, specifically the director of content marketing, she's responsible for all of the content across the customer lifecycle. So from brand through to customer education and advocacy. So it's not just sales, but it's the customer success team content marketers should get close to and listen to customer calls, listen to renewal calls. And I'm also doing that as well. just to, again, to understand, are we delivering on what we promise during the sales process, and how can we deliver more value to the customer through the help of content, video content, a podcast, a knowledge-based article, like a course, a class, like anything that could maybe help them, which also makes your brand and like your product offering somewhat different than competing products. Because if you're really, like, this goes back to HubSpot. Like HubSpot Academy is a pretty big differentiator for all other competitors. Because like, well, you basically as a marketing leader, sales leader, have a wealth of free, high quality education and enablement for your teams. That just comes with it, right? So it's like, yeah, why wouldn't I want to use that platform, HubSpot's platform, to do that? Same with Drift. We're doing the same thing with Drift Insider and Drift. We give you all of this great stuff that's going to teach you about the future of marketing and sales, teach you about conversational marketing and sales, teach you about revenue acceleration. And then, I mean, of course, you know, we recommend using Drift, but like, we're going to help you along the way.
And that's something that is noticeable, like maybe a classic Mark Kilens trait, because if you see what you started at HubSpot and then you implemented that experience into Drift, you also see a sort of parallel between the inbound marketing as the main why HubSpot works like it does, and then the conversational marketing that Drift is now actively promoting, and which is part of a larger thing called the revenue acceleration for companies. Maybe for the people who are listening, what is the big difference between the inbound marketing and the conversational marketing?
Yeah, I'm happy to talk with that. You know, I think of both being so important, because maybe there was some confusion in the beginning, you know, when conversational marketing was being formed. It's been around for over 5 years now, right? And I'm just lucky enough that I can help Drift and what David and Elias created, our two co-founders, evangelize that, educate the world about it. And we still have a long way to go. There's, you know, it's a huge amount of education. Even when you think about just inbound marketing, right? It's taken 15 years, you know, and there's still even more people learning about it and getting better at it. But at the end of the day, inbound marketing is really based on the fact that you need high quality content, or just you need good content, and you need to understand who you're creating that content for. So think personas, and you need to use that across the attract, engage, delight, inbound methodology. Those 3 phases. It's like the new inbound flywheel. It's one of the last things I actually worked on. One of the last big things I worked on at HubSpot with the leadership team is coming up with this new vision that Brian Halligan had for, you know, the future. So then it's like, great, you know, what Drift said is like, what we need to fix is the engage piece. Because like, I am guilty. I will be, you know, I'm going to say that I'm guilty here, because I am. Like, we taught a lot of people for a long time that the best way to engage with someone that comes to your website from any of these channels is to have them click on a call to action, go to a landing page, fill out a form, go to a thank you page, maybe get an email, most likely it's an automated email, maybe hear back from someone, unsure when you will hear back from someone, and that when you do hear back from someone, it's probably going to be a pretty impersonal, you know, reach out or connect.
Yeah.
So it's like, right?
I know the scenario.
So like,
especially from a growth marketer's perspective, I tend to automate a lot, and it's very insightful to see that.
And, you know, so like, I'm like, look, there's a better way, right? Because we as humans have changed how we communicate. We used to really have like email and the telephone. Like, if you think of like digital channels, right? Like email and telephone. Now it's a lot of messaging and live video, like live Zoom. That's based. So we need to change how we engage with people. Now, because of the pandemic, has forced us to go from caring about revenue, but now like obsessing about revenue. Like if we don't generate more revenue or protect the revenue we have as a business, like we're going to be in trouble. So like, we need to really make sure that we're creating the most frictionless, seamless type experience for people when they come to the website, come to our store, our digital store, and give them an easy way to find what they're looking for, to engage with the website, but then to engage with the business and engage with someone at the business. And that's where conversational marketing just excels. Instead of a CTA landing page, form, thank you page, email, it's CTA bot. So most people call it chatbot because it's a conversational, right? But this is not live chat. This is a chatbot to either then content or a human, right? So either go into one of those two spots. That's it. It's 2 steps. Click on the call to action, engage in a conversation with the chatbot, and then find the right piece of content, find the right part of the website, or go talk to someone, or schedule time to talk to someone.
And
that can happen in 10 seconds.
Yeah, and I can imagine like the time that someone spends on your website. You said it in another interview. People browse on your website. The whole buying process, 60% or 70% of it, has been done without you even knowing that people are browsing for a solution. And then when you come at the point where they are ready to buy, then you really want to make sure to capitalize on that moment as soon as possible and in the most meaningful way as possible.
100%. I mean, this is critical stuff. People are actively buying something when they come to your website. You might know it, you might not know it, you might assume, but there's a lot of people that come to your website that are actively buying. The crazy stat is, out of all the people that come to your website, say 1,000 people come to your website, sales might talk to 10 of those people. It's like 1%. It's like, what?
It's crazy.
Like, if you had 1,000 people come into your store, your in-person, in real life store, would you only talk to 10 of them? It's like, no, very unlikely that you would do that. So we need to provide a way to create meaningful experiences for these people. And sometimes that means if the visitor isn't taking a proactive direct action, like they're not like saying, I need to talk to someone, or I need to schedule time with you, or I need some help, then the salesperson might want to, or the sales development person might want to say, hey, so-and-so, I'm here to help. Need anything? Right? So what's so cool about conversational sales is when someone's on the website and you're using something like a chatbot or live chat, someone on the other end, either through their mobile phone, on their desktop computer, tablet, any place, can quickly type a message that will show to that person on the page of the site they're on, right? So, and then they could also, if that doesn't work to engage with them, that could also happen through email, right? So they could email someone something at the same time. They could connect on LinkedIn. They could send them a video. So there's just so many ways you can engage with people today that's more proactive in nature. You as a growth marketer would know, like, you still should help make it easy for your sales team to understand who to engage with, right? Like, you should have the behavior score. You should have intent signals. You should understand not to waste time with the wrong people. So it's about quality and the qualification of these people. But, that's something that takes place in the back end, right? Like a back office experience. Like the customer, the buyer is not going to see that or care about that. What they care about is just getting to the thing they need at that moment.
Which is content or conversation.
Typically, yeah.
Yeah, like if you combine those two, then you have a very powerful marketing machine. And when I look at the marketing at Drift, because we've written content marketing teardown of the company, we see just a few examples. Like one thing that I really love about content marketing at Drift is that all the blog articles are written by employees, and you're actively promoting employee thought leadership and thus turning employees into ambassadors of Drift.
Mm.
And
Yeah,
that's something that I really think that a lot of companies are probably struggling with, is how can we turn our employees into ambassadors, and outsource or insource actually the knowledge that we have and share it online, because a lot of companies are not doing that right now, or are still having thoughts of, we cannot share our secrets or knowledge because it's our competitors are watching. What's your take on that?
I mean, McKinsey has done a ton of like studies, this especially post-pandemic. I mean, McKinsey's done studies for decades, right? They've been around for a long time, but like post the pandemic, they've looked at a lot of the B2B buying behaviors and preferences. And one study they found, and this is probably even true before the pandemic, I would think, but they found B2B buyers value three things: transparency, expertise, and speed. So like, if that's what B2B buyers value, it really is in your best interest to, as a content marketer, to become more of a content broker, brokering the knowledge transfer, the wisdom transfer between someone at your business and one of your customers, one of your future customers. So, if you're not going to do it, the chance, one of your competitors is going to do it is pretty high. So it's like, why not? Or someone else on Google has already done it, and that person is going to go to that part of the web, of the internet, to read about it. I think that's becoming less, though. I do think that's becoming less. I think businesses are becoming less fearful of that. What I think they need to do, though, is more lean into the expertise they have at the business, like you were saying, to create really great content. Like, a content marketer is not going to know very much about a topic that, that requires a level of like experience in doing, right? Like, a content marketer is not going to know a lot about sales because they're not a salesperson. A content marketer is not going to know a lot about manufacturing this piece of equipment for this particular industry, because they don't do that. But like, if you talk to your team about it, get them involved, make it easy for them to contribute. You do the editing, you do the design, you do the storytelling, you do all the teaching as a content marketer, then that's going to be good for everyone.
Yeah, I totally agree. And one of the things that, if you're a B2B content marketer, one of the advantages that you have is that you're really educated in everything that is part of the industry, because let's face it, some of the topics are not sexy. Some of the topics are concrete factories or whatever, but they still have to be found online. And then you become a thought leader in that industry. And as you said before, the main thing is not to ask whether your competitor is going to watch you. The main question is to beat your competitor to it and make sure that you're on top of the number one page in Google when people search for something that is crucial for your business.
I mean, or be someplace online where those people are, and like be very active in that part of the web.
And because there are a lot of channels, one of the things that we see with our customers is that streamlining the content marketing process is sometimes very difficult. A lot of tools. That's why we created StoryChief. But I wanted to know, how do you guys streamline your process? How much time has gone into that to make sure that you are the well-oiled content machine that you are today?
Well, there's a couple things. One is like we partner very closely with demand gen and customer marketing and do an integrated campaign, or use an integrated campaign framework to make sure that we're creating the right content for the right audience that's going to get used both on the digital side and the campaign side / like account-based marketing side of what we do to generate demand and pipeline. So we do that every 3 months, sit down, it's 3 to 6 month campaigns that we run and programs. And we're very deliberate about that. When it comes to creating the content, we use Asana. Asana is a great project management tool. So we really try to make sure that we've created repeatable processes, almost like engines, if you will, to create content. So then it's also in deep partnership with the creative team, the video and design team. You get those people involved as soon as you can in any type of creative project you're doing. If you're a content marketer, don't wait. Get them involved from the get-go. It's only going to be better. It's only going to produce a better product. And then, it's really just a matter of working back from the timeline of when we want to launch this thing based off of, again, what the customer marketing and demand gen team is trying to do. And balancing other things that come up that are outside of, the blogs, the digital books, putting on the events, the training classes, the certifications, all these other things that are outside of that. How do we balance that stuff? But I think you just need to have a process to understand what's worked, what hasn't worked when it comes from both a engagement set of metrics, like number of email subscribers you're getting, number of new Drift Insider members, but then how much of all of those engagements are turning into pipeline and revenue. So like looking back at that and then using that information to plan for the next 3 months.
So if in terms of because you said that you have to involve your creatives as soon as possible, how much best practices versus creative campaigns, what's the balance between that at Drift?
So we have a brand campaign. That's two types of brand programs, if you want to call them, almost. But that's really around like talking about revenue acceleration and talking about changing the face of corporate America. We very much believe in being, not just talking about it, but like being the leader in how we change the diversity and the inclusion and the equity piece of corporations and businesses these days. So we have a long way to go, but we're trying to do as much as we can. So that's like a part of our brand kind of campaign and programming. And then we have, of course, like talking about revenue acceleration and the revenue era that we've entered and all those things. And then for like the marketing and sales campaigns we have, it's more specific around like, what are the pains? What are the solutions we offer? Getting them deeper into teaching people about those and helping them understand conversational marketing and conversational sales. So it's really a matter of like, again, understanding your audience, understanding the hierarchy of your story from like, why you're doing this, why does this matter, why pay attention, to then how does it work, to then what are you selling, what are you offering people. That's kind of how we think about it and do it. There are one-off things we do to generate brand awareness and do things like we're doing Drift Miss right now. If you're listening to this after that, but it's like our take on like the 12 days of Christmas to some degree. So yeah, it's interesting when you think about like the time allocation between what you need to do to create buzz or brand versus pipeline. At the end of the day, like you're going to want to, of course, weight more heavily on like revenue and pipeline, but you don't want to just ignore the brand. And if you do it right, a lot of the things that you do to build pipeline and revenue are also going to help on the brand side and vice versa. So for us, it's about like just being yourself, being authentic, not trying to portray something that you're not. And that's why we use real people images, not stock images or stock photography, but like all of those images on the Drift website and the Drift content are from drifters or from our customers, from our partners. Like that's a really important thing for us.
Yeah, that's something that I totally agree with. I think a lot of startups, because we're still a startup, you see the illustrations. A lot of startups have these illustrations, very colorful, and we also wanted to use like our own people just to get in front of the brand. And I do believe that authenticity is one of the things that makes your audience wants to read your articles, because there's a lot of content on there, and what makes your content original is the way you write it, the way you think about it, the way you look at it.
Yep.
And also, the big why, always start with why, from Simon Sinek. So those are two things that that I do believe that content marketing is very important for. But we have this very high level conversation right now. When we look at tactics, is there like one tactic that you said, wow, this has been a game changer for me, or for the way I look at content marketing?
Tactic that's been a game changer. I mean, I think of content as this like living type of thing that you can, you could reuse across different channels. You can repackage into different formats. You can reposition for different audiences, and you can refresh when it starts to get a little bit stale. So I think like that framework is one of the ones I love. So like, I would say that's my tip, right? Like use those 4 content marketing R's to help you create more content, but that's also more content that's more consistent, because you're not just like continually changing what you're saying. You're like, taking someone down this path, but then zagging into this path. Like, don't think you always have to create new content. I guess that's kind of my overall point when I say those things.
It's funny that you say that, because at the end of this interview, and we're nearing the end, I wanted to ask some questions from our community, because I really believe that listening to our community and know what they're thinking of and what they want to know is very valuable, not only for you, but also for us as a company. And one of the questions was exactly that, from Paulo Andrade, is like, do you guys have a repurposed strategy? So basically, how do you guys tackle that challenge of creating or recreating content that's already been there?
Yeah, we definitely have a repurpose strategy. I mean, here's a few great examples. So we created the conversational marketing blueprint. It's a very detailed digital book with a very comprehensive interactive workbook that teaches you everything you need to know about conversational marketing and how it fits into revenue acceleration. You can go check it out for free. Then what we did is, after we did that, we said, let's turn that into a complete full-blown conversational marketing certification course. So do you want to learn by reading? Do you want to learn by watching and going through a series of classes? Do you want to do both? Then we said, great, let's take those videos and break them up and put them on different parts of the website, on YouTube. We'll use them on Instagram, right? We'll break that up into classes. So if you don't want to take the whole course, you can just watch this one class on this thing. There's so many things you could do. We took that then and said, look, let's create some LinkedIn posts about the different frameworks we teach in that. So you put it on LinkedIn. So yeah, I mean, another example, we wrote a book with a company called Clary, CLRI, Clary. It's a revenue operations intelligence type company. It's an awesome company. There's so much good content in that book. That book is like 55 pages long. Like, we're using that content in blog articles. We're using that. I've done LinkedIn posts about that, right? We're using some of that content in future books. We're referencing things, from other books. It's really a matter of thinking about your cornerstone content assets and how can you get more out of those things across your different parts of the website, but then also different parts of the channels you're using to engage with people.
So starting with your cornerstone content, making sure that you adapt it to the different channels that you are going to distribute it, and then listen to your community and reiterate.
Bingo.
Nice. I have another question from Frank Huisman. Frank is one of StoryChief's friends, and he'd like to know what the biggest content challenges were and what you did to overcome them, with a bonus question, how do you scale your content marketing? And I think we already covered quite a bit of that. So what were your biggest content marketing challenges, and what did you do to overcome them?
I think video can be intimidating for a lot of people, but it's like one of my predictions for 2021 that video is going to be so much more important, especially with like digital first everything now. Like you have to take more of your content and turn it into video format. It's not even a question. You have to up-level your webinars, up-level your virtual events, up-level like your video content on Instagram, on YouTube, on Facebook, on your own website, and that can be hard. That's hard. So like investing in the right people, the right equipment, and it doesn't have to be crazy equipment. Like I'm using an iPhone right now to record this video. It's in 1080p. If you have a new iPhone, 11 or 12, you can get it done. Of course, you can use a DSLR. You can do those things. We're at that stage, of course, now. But the beginning, at HubSpot, we weren't at that stage. We were using, I don't even know if we were using a DSLR for the first one. I know the iPhones weren't good enough at that point to do the video that we wanted to do. So we had to use some type of camera. But, with ring lights and microphones, you got a nice mic, right? With one of those sound absorbers. It's just a matter of like getting the reps, right? The practice and just doing it a few times. I really think it's video, and then sometimes it's hard to maintain content if you're producing a lot of it. So you need to have the right process. You need to make sure you have your capacity planning figured out from a creative standpoint, a content production standpoint. So capacity planning will be a thing a good content marketer and creative leader need to work on together as you grow a bigger team. When the team gets to 5, 6, 7, 8 people, I've had teams of 20 content marketers creating stuff. It's like, how do you juggle all these work streams? You need a good project management tool. You need to build capacity plans, and you need to be in really strong communication with one another.
Right, cool. And obviously, with all the webinars popping out of the ground with everybody working from home, I think that video is indeed one of the biggest things that are going to boom in 2021. And then one last question from our community is from Stephen Clark, and he's asking a very interesting question. You as a content marketer, I as a growth marketer, you have organic versus paid. What percentage do you generally recommend between the two?
It's highly dependent on your average contract value, your ideal customer profile, your sales motion. Like how do you, is it touchless? Is it partially touchless? Is it inside sales? Is it enterprise sales? It's really, how saturated is the organic side, right? How saturated is the paid side? There's no good way for me to answer that without getting more of those questions answered, unfortunately. Sorry. But it's a difficult, look into that stuff.
It's very, very difficult. It's something that we at StoryChief, we have a lot of organic traffic, and paid is just something that we're now getting we're trying to get into, but we see that organic is just skyrocketing. So it's just like you say, it's dependent on a lot of variables. And what's the percentage with you guys?
Well, I think to your point, it's easy when you think about it like this, right? Organic long-term is a long-term play, long-term benefit, right? Compounding, right? You own it. Paid is you rent, short-term, right? You gotta fill the pipeline. So you probably have to do both these days. And content is core to both of those things. But it's a matter of how is pipeline looking throughout the month, throughout the quarter, and where do you need to juice it? if your organic stuff isn't performing as well as you expected, isn't growing as fast as you expected, something happened with Google. So you just have to have both going on. It's just a matter of keeping a close eye on your numbers.
Mm-hmm. And on days like, I think it was Monday, or it was Monday when Google was, the servers were down. That can,
Oh, yeah, that's fun.
yeah, a lot of people were without work at that moment. So no, but exactly, a lot of variables to come up to that exact sweet spot between content and paid. All right, we're ending, or coming to the end of the interview. It was nice having you here. Before I let you go and shovel the snow, because there's a lot of snow out there.
Sure.
I wanted to ask you one last question, very inspirational for all marketers out there. What is your number one advice for people that are starting out with content marketing for their business, to grow their business? Yeah.
I'll say two things, like talk to customers, talk to the people you're trying to, create content for, get to buy your product, and then just create and iterate. Like, you don't overthink it. Just put stuff out there. It can always be better. Even the best of the best, the stuff that they put out there, can be better, because nothing's ever perfect. So don't be shy. And get close to your customers.
Awesome. Thank you, Mark, very much for making the time to have this interview. And for the people who want to learn more about Drift, about content marketing, where could the people get in touch with you? I assume LinkedIn.
Yeah, I mean, if you Google Drift, or drift.com, you'll find Drift. Drift Insider, right, is the free online learning community and platform. Like I said, it's the sales and marketing masterclass experience. Check that out. Would love to have you check it out. Give me your feedback. What's missing? What could be better? And then, if you Google my name, Mark Kilens, you'll see me on LinkedIn, on Twitter. You see a lot of the content I've created, blogs that I've authored. So feel free to reach out if you have any questions. Let me know. And Tanguy, thank you so much for having me, and thanks for listening, everyone.